Hey Canucks fans, Quinn Hughes is the Rookie of the Month for February. And what's behind the spat between Coach Green and JPat? I'm Clay Emo. I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter. I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram. I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club. And this is my Canucks take, all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Monday, March the 2nd. Yes, it's a Monday, and it's been a very eventful week, a very eventful weekend for the Canucks. And as you know, I was away for a lot of it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning. I was in Kelowna watching my kids bowl. They did really well. You guys know the results by now, but thank you for the well wishes and for asking. Then I worked all Sunday afternoon, and then I was able to watch the last two periods of last night's game, and then I did my live stream last night. And thanks to all you who joined me for that live stream. Those are going really well. Settled into a nice little routine there. But I will say that the mood on the live stream last night was it wasn't like overly negative and people were mad or upset, but definitely there's a worry there. There is concern there, and there's a lot of frustration there, disappointment, and a lot of people are scared. There's a lot of fear there. A lot of people are scared that the Canucks will not make the playoffs. So after last night's defeat, which I'll get to in a second, the Canucks sit in 4th place in the Pacific Division. So they've fallen out of the top 3 for the first time in a while. They are at 74 points. And they are looking 1 point back at Calgary, but with 2 games in hand. 2 points back of Edmonton, same number of games. And 6 points back of Vegas with 2 games in hand. So the Vegas one, I think, given how well Vegas is playing and how well the Canucks aren't playing, I'm not sure Vegas is attainable for first place. But I've been saying all along that I expect the Canucks to finish in 2nd or in 3rd. And I continue with that thinking. I'll get to that in a second. But first, really quickly, we recap last night's game, both in the live stream and in my 2-minute post-game vlog. But yeah, you simply cannot give up 4 third-period goals. You simply cannot take 2 penalties in the last 6 minutes of the game. You can't make the defensive errors that the Canucks were making, especially on that second goal, to allow Columbus to even have a sniff of catching up. But yeah, really the undoing was those 2 penalties, Sutter and then Roussel, 2 veteran players you'd expect not to take those penalties. And then Louis Domingue played okay up to that point, played fine up to that point, but didn't make a big save when he needed to. And before you know it, the Canucks, instead of being up by 2 with 8 minutes left or 10 minutes left, they are now losing the game by 2 thanks to an empty netter. So it was very disappointing. And I think a lot of fans last night, whether they're blaming Travis Green, they're blaming Louis Domingue, they're blaming Brandon Sutter, Antoine Roussel, whoever it is, it's not about blaming one player. It's about the confidence, the state of this team right now. And looking ahead, they have 17 games left, and they're at 74 points. And everyone says they would need 94 to get in the playoffs for sure. 92 will be closer, but 94 for sure. So if you say 94, that means the Canucks are going to get 20 points in the next 17 games. And 3 games ago, before this 3-game losing streak, you say at 20 points in 20 games. That's easy. That's 500 hockey. But now when you say 20 points in 17 games, that means you got to go 10-7 or some combination of 11, 5, and 2 or whatever the numbers add up to. That doesn't make sense. 11, no, if you go 9, 7, and 1, that gets you 19 points. So you can see how you need about 10 wins basically, and then loser points won't help that much. So you need 10 outright wins in the last 17 games. 10-7 gets you 94, 9-8 gets you 92. But the point is, you got to play above 500 hockey, and that's without Jacob Markstrom. That's without Brock Besser, the 2 biggest voids in our lineup right now. So when you put it like that, it's not a guarantee at all. I'm still confident the Canucks will make it, but it's certainly not a guarantee given that they've lost 3 straight. Now they have a chance to right the ship. They come back and they have Arizona on Wednesday, Colorado on Friday, Columbus on Sunday once again. So 3 big home games. And you look at what Toronto did. Toronto got embarrassed by a 42-year-old Zamboni driver, their own Zamboni driver, last Saturday, and yet they've reeled off 3 straight wins since then over a good Tampa team, a good Florida team, and our Vancouver Canucks. So Toronto got embarrassed last Saturday, and they've won the next 3. Maybe you could argue the Canucks got embarrassed last night with their collapse. Maybe they win the next 3 or 4. Now, of these 17 games that we need 9 or 10 wins from, 10 of the 17 are at home, 7 are away. So the Canucks are much better at home than they are away. So that should give us some more confidence that maybe they can indeed do it. So there you go. 17 games. They need about 9 or 10 wins, and 10 of those 17 games at home. So we'll see what happens that way. Let's also talk about the goaltending. Hasn't been good. And me, along with many others, have also talked about this next few weeks is really going to, I think, determine Jacob Markstrom's worth to this franchise. And we are seeing, at least early returns are saying that he's worth a lot. Demko hasn't played as well as we wanted him to. He still has time to correct his play. Louis Domingue, you know, let's reserve judgment until he plays a few more games. But you can see that the goaltending simply isn't as solid. The Canucks don't look as confident in front of Demko and Domingue as they do in front of Markstrom. And that's not throwing our Demko under the bus. You guys know I like him a lot, but it is it's fact, and it's a testament to how well Jacob Markstrom has played this season. So, are we concerned about the goaltending? Perhaps the Canucks will need big saves, and they need Demko to steal a game or at least a couple of saves, a couple goals over the next little bit, and that's what Jacob Markstrom has been in the habit of doing. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. How about some good news? Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes won the February Rookie of the Month for the NHL. Only the first time he's won it. But don't fret. You're probably going to ask, well, how many has Cale Makar won? Makar's only won one as well. Victor Olofsson, actually, of Buffalo, has won 2. And the Kubalik forward from Chicago has won 1. So there's the 5 months so far. 2 for Olofsson, 1 for Makar, 1 for Kubalik, and 1 for Hughes. Those are the 5 months: October, November, December, January, February. So there's still 1 month to go, at least the March one. So maybe Hughes can win that one as well. So again, more fuel to the fire, more debate, more content for the debate between who's going to win the Calder, Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar. And I sound like a broken record, and I say it once every 2 vlogs, but I do think if Quinn Hughes wins the playoff scoring race, and if the Canucks make the playoffs, I do think Quinn Hughes will win the Calder, because the points per game is a very immaterial difference right now. And I think voters will recognize that he's played 81 of the 82 games, his durability and his consistency. But we'll see. You know, obviously winning the NHL Rookie of the Month more recently is a good thing. You want a bit of recency bias as well. But we'll see. He still has a 4-point lead over Cale Makar in the NHL scoring lead for rookies. So congrats to Quinn Hughes. A great month of February. 15 points in 13 games. Those 15 points were made up of 2 goals and 13 assists, and it's of course a month that saw the Canucks start off really well, but then start to fade towards the back end. So we'll see how Hughes continues to play. You know, he hasn't had a really strong offensive showing in the last few games, so maybe Wednesday will be a great time to break out of his very, very small offensive slump, but more importantly, a really, really great accomplishment that he won the NHL's Rookie of the Month for February. So that's a good thing. I want to end off by talking about this spat between Coach Travis Green and Jeff Paterson of TSN 1040. Now, I like Jeff Paterson a lot. I've met him a few times. We always have a fun banter on Twitter. It's always respectful. I respect what he does, and I think he's very good at what he does. He has probably the best insider knowledge when it comes to day-to-day. He doesn't maybe always the first to get the scoop or to break the scoop like, say, Rick Dhaliwal will when it comes to contracts or free agents or murmurings behind the scenes. But Jeff Paterson is very reliable when it comes to day-to-day Travis Green, injury updates, how are the players feeling, what's the mood in the locker room, all those things. And I would argue he's the most consistent and most reliable Canucks reporter out there. So that's a good thing. So Travis Green should know him, and I believe Travis Green does respect Jeff Paterson. But something happened over the weekend where I guess Paterson was asking Travis Green before the Toronto game about the lineup, and Travis Green mentioned it's the same lineup that played in the Saturday game, the Thursday night loss against Ottawa. And I believe, if I'm reading it correctly, Travis Green said something like, are you comfortable dressing the same skaters after a game like that? Or he intimated something like that performance wasn't good, or that collection of 18 skaters wasn't good. And I think Travis Green took offense and basically said, no, these are the guys that I think my job is to ice the lineup that gives us the best chance to win. So, you know, nothing too out of the ordinary, nothing too testy. I think Jeff Paterson had every right to ask that question. It's something that Canucks fans would want to know. Travis Green didn't like that line of questioning. Apparently on Sunday, either before or after the Columbus game, Paterson got word from Canucks media, PR staff, that Travis Green wouldn't take any questions from Jeff Paterson. Jeff Paterson was there interviewing JT Miller after the game, Louis Domingue, any Canucks players that were made available, Bo Horvat, but he, I guess he wasn't allowed to say anything to Travis Green. Kind of childish if you think about it, and I don't know if there was a way that Paterson asked the question or if there's something else behind the scenes. And to his credit, Jeff Paterson is mostly taking the high road, saying, no, I'm going to flesh this out with Travis Green. And I think it would behoove Travis Green and Canucks PR staff to also smooth this out, because you don't want your number one beat reporter on the number one radio station, even though they're not the rights holder, but I think they're winning the ratings and everything. You don't want to let this fester at all. So maybe it's a quick head-to-head meeting. Maybe it's a simple heart-to-heart meeting. And the guy's just hashing out and saying, you know, we're both emotional, or we're frustrated because of this loss, or I shouldn't have asked this question. Whatever it is, they got to figure it out, because it's not a good look having the head coach and the number one beat reporter for the team being at odds. And we see all these videos on YouTube of other coaches doing it to other guys like Tortorella and Herb Brooks and other things like that. So you don't want it to be an issue here. And, you know, a lot of people defending Jeff Paterson and thinking Travis Green's being a little bit, illogical in this. But I've seen others saying that maybe it's Travis Green's brilliant ploy to deflect attention away from his team and how poorly they're playing, his players, and instead trying to make it more about him and JPat. Although I don't know if that makes the most sense to me, but I know Travis Green, the players really like him, and maybe this is another way of Travis Green taking the bullet for the team while they're not playing well. Regardless, it's kind of silly, and I hope it gets rectified, and I'm confident it will get rectified in the very near future. And lastly, Daryl Keeping on Twitter is running this fun little Canucks Twitter March Madness. CTMM is the hashtag. He put 64 tweeters, Canucks tweeters, in this massive bracket, similar to what you see in a March Madness college basketball playdown. And they're running basically every 2 days. They're running 1 quarter of 16, so 8 matchups, and then it'll go to quarters, semis, all the way down to the Elite 8, Final 4, and the Final 2. Well, I was paired against Anna Forsyth yesterday. Anna, coincidentally, was the person who replaced me on the C4 podcast on Canucks Hockey Blog. And I was able to pull out a win yesterday, getting about 2/3 of the votes. Actually, a lot of people interested in our matchup. There were 1,000 votes, so she got a lot of votes, and I got a few more votes, and I'm on to the next round. And so thank you for everyone who did vote for me. Next round for me will likely be next Monday, Sunday or Monday, because they got to get through the other 3 brackets first. But I'm up against Blake Price. Speaking of TSN, I'm up against Blake Price, who's got 30,000 followers. I have 5,000 followers, not even yet. And Blake Price, very smart. I have a lot of respect for what he does. I listen to his show every day. But I'm going to need some help. So I will talk about this a little more. And it's just, I'm not going to, do anything silly or bribe people to vote for me. But, it's going to be it's definitely going to be a big challenge for me. But I'll talk about that more as the week goes on, as I find out when our matchup is. But that's a quarterfinal matchup in our bracket, me versus Blake Price out of TSN. So there we go. A lot of stuff that you can comment on. Last night's game, the Canucks playoff standing. Are you nervous? Goaltending. Quinn Hughes winning the Rookie of the Month. JPat versus Quinn Hughes. And Canucks Twitter March Madness. So there's 6 or 7 topics, or you can go off the board and talk about whatever you want. I promise I will do better at replying. I do read all your replies, but I got to get better at replying. But I had a crazy weekend where the kids were bowling all weekend. Then I had a paper for my master's that I had to finish, and I am finished. Praise God, I finished that earlier today. So there we go. I now have some time to catch up on messages, some tweets, some comments, whatever it may be. So leave a comment below. Tell me how you're feeling about the Canucks right now. What's your confidence level? Are you okay with what happened on the weekend? Probably not, but are you okay with where the Canucks sit right now? They're still in a playoff spot with games in hand on a couple of the teams above them in the Pacific Division. But they look below them and they see 3 or 4 teams right behind them too in the wild card race. So it is indeed going to be a race over the final month of the season. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment below. I'd love to read, react, and reply. Subscribe if you like to. Like this video if you like to. Enjoy the day. Be safe. God bless. Go Canucks go.